some of the financial aspects of FNU. Mr. Speaker, sir, the FNU, Mr. Speaker, sir, in 2019 there were a total of 12,226 equivalent full-time students, a 3% increase in comparison to 2018. It is also noted the female graduates accounted for around 56% of the overall graduates in 2019. And of course, we've seen the trend since we've introduced toppers and TELs that we find a lot more females in universities and high schools now than ever before. In fact, in many areas, they've surpassed that of their male counterparts. Mr. Speaker, sir, overall government funding, Honourable Randondo, unfortunately, has disappeared, and I want to talk about that. Government has allocated a total grant, Mr. Speaker, sir, of $410.7 million as operational and capital grant for the past 7 years. Mr. Speaker, sir, for example, in 2016, the operational grant of operating expenditure, sir, to FNU was $36 million. Capital expenditure, $5 million. I won't go through every single year. In 2018, 2019, sir, the operating expenditure was $65 million, and then $19 million for capital expenditure. The reason, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we saw an increase in the operating expenditure was, as Honourable Prasad would tell you, Honourable Reddy would also tell you, that the lecturers at FNU received far lower salaries than those that were paid at USP. Far less. In fact, so we wanted to, of course, in order to attract good academics, good trainers to FNU, we needed to increase the salaries that they would be able to pay to those people. They've gone on about the capital expenditure, which I'll come on to. And Honourable Randondo seems to be just fixated on the $20 million capital cut that we made, but has completely ignored everything else, every other funding that's been provided to FNU, sir. Overall, Mr. Speaker, sir, since 2016 to 2021, 2022, $344 million, $191,841 has been given as operating expenditure. Capital expenditure has been $66,554,143 million, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, of course that's not the only revenue they get, because FNU, as we know, is a completely government, 100% government-funded organization. Of course, none of this expenditure, probably a small percentage of it, because it used to fund FIT, etc., appeared in government books before. Toppers and TELs, Mr. Speaker, sir. So, for example, Mr. Speaker, sir, we paid in 2019-2020 $14,749,388 for National Topper Scheme at FNU. And we paid $33 million and $701,736 for TELs. So combined, you're looking at around about nearly $50 million, or about $48 million on that year, plus you're looking at about $65 million, both capital and operating, just in that 1 year alone, sir. So over 90, or in excess of $100 million that was funded to FNU in 1 year. They completely missed that. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, every single year, FNU receives not only the operating expenditure, capital expenditure, plus toppers, plus TELs. That's the level of funding that's been provided to FNU, Mr. Speaker, sir. And of course, we believe it is good investment. We're still a long way in establishing FNU to get a number of international accreditation. Academics over here would tell you that it is not an easy task. We also know the shenanigans that used to take place at DTI, Derrick Technical Institute, those of you know that, or FIT, Free Institute of Technology. And in fact, FNU inherited many of those people who were used to work in those organizations. Some of them don't even have the right qualifications. When FNU was set up, we had students wanting to do masters, and the lecturers who were the supervisors did not even have a master's degree. We had people wanting to do PhDs, but there's nobody of a PhD qualification at FNU in that particular area of discipline. These are the challenges faced by FNU. Any academic would tell you, Honourable Prasad, I'm sure you'll agree, Honourable Reddy, and others would tell you, you cannot have a lecturer supervising somebody to do a PhD when you don't even have a PhD yourself. So, these are the challenges in having a national university. Honourable Gavoka says, we'll make university free. Tertiary institution will be all free. This is the kind of funding, Mr. Speaker, sir, that is required. And he's saying every single student in Fiji, so USP, University of Fiji, FNU, Mr. Speaker, sir, And obviously, Mr. Speaker, sir, they will cut funding from somewhere else if they're going to stick to their word. Of course, that's assuming they'll get elected. That's another issue. That's another issue, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other point that I also wanted to make, Mr. Speaker, sir, Mr. Speaker, sir, we all need to come away from La La Land. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the 2018-2019 budget, Mr. Speaker, sir, FNU campus was given $6 million. The FNU vet lab was $4 million allocation. Nasinu campus, $4 million, sir. And Maritime Academy, $5 million. Honorable Lavere, who obviously has his speeches written because he just simply reads it off, many of the issues he raised, Honorable Minister of Education already addressed that. But he kept on asking the same question. This is the problem. And the Maritime the building, of course, is about 80% completed. A bit delayed, but it will get completed very soon. The gym complex at FNU, I understand the opening is next week or week after next, or in the early March, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, of course, we are continuing to fund FNU. There was a reduction in capital expenditure, of course, because of COVID-19. We had to put that on hold. And to say that Lambasa campus, when you know that there is a legal issue, why continue to make budgetary allocation for the sake of looking good? If you know that there is a legal issue, there won't be any construction going on. Why do you want to allocate funding for that? This goes a complete lack of understanding of how finance works. If the matter is before the courts. Sir, Honorable Rondondro, who I wish you would smile a lot more, she's always so serious. In fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, I thought was suddenly an advocate for the contractor. Because she said, oh, you know, the poor contractor, they had to raise up the land. When you bid for work, you know exactly what are the parameters of your contract work. In any case, the civil works were given by somebody else. When you bid for work, you know exactly. It's your job to go and check what you have to do. Then you put in your tender. It's not like suddenly it was revealed upon the contractor and therefore, oh my God, poor contractor. If that was the case, the court would not have ruled in FNU's favor. This is the kind of level of debate we have to engage in, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other point that I also wanted to make was that one of the issues that Honorable Minister Usamate raised, which is very pertinent, and so did Minister Premila Kumar, was FNU's ability to be responsive to the vocational area or the demands of the nation. A case in point, I mentioned yesterday and also today about the BPO sector. Fast growing, 3,000 jobs during COVID, Mr. Speaker, sir. 3,000 jobs during COVID is not any easy feat. FNU has now developed a short-term course. So people wanting to work in the BPO sector can do that course. So when you have overseas companies coming in, they know that our people have the right qualifications. There are other areas in the BPO sector. So the BPO people are telling us, you don't have any courses available at any of the universities where you have management skill sets in running a BPO facility, in running a BPO operation. So they're currently looking at developing those types of courses available in collaboration with the BPO Council and Outsource Fiji. So we have those skill set. It's a huge growth area. Things like also coding, etc., is critically important for us to have those skill sets. So FNU does offer us that opportunity. We also, through the Climate Change Division, are looking at how we can collaborate with FNU in terms of not just the sort of academic side of climate change, but in terms of some of the practical issues where the climate change matters can be addressed through training, sir. Honorable Lavere, again, please, somebody wrote that, he's saying, the economy has been on life support since 2007. I mean, what nonsense. He said tourism sector is on life support, sir. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, the FNU, of course, has a lot of potential. There's a lot of work to be done. I'd also like to also make the point about the number of people on the council. We have a professor from Monash University in the area of medical sciences. We have people who are on the council for working in artificial intelligence. And, I think it's a very good council. People from the private sector, the banking sector, etc. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, the FNU will continue to fund some of the capital projects. We look forward to their completion. The question was asked, why that particular land? Because it is actually state land. So the state has basically given that land to FNU. There are other buildings that are being built there. There's a cinema, etc. in that land. Of course, Honorable Reddy had talked about dredging the rivers, etc. So we hope to mitigate those issues regarding flooding. And we of course look forward to working with the Council, and we should all be proud. And I'm glad, members on the other side have also said we need to have these universities which will give us that level of competition and indeed wonderful opportunities for our youth. Last point I want to say, Honorable Prasad, we're also talking to young people too. A lot of them actually, some have come back to Fiji. Some don't want to go to Fiji because of the opportunities that Fiji is offering. For example, in the digital space, because of the digital space, we're now actually recruiting. One of the few ministries in the government that is recruiting people is in the ITC space. We need the capacity. A lot of people are now coming to Fiji because of the BPO councils, etc. So there are new jobs being created, which a lot of the young people, in fact, are into. And we look forward to obviously making sure that we retain the skill sets and the brains that actually exist amongst them. And we can do so by offering a number of courses and opportunities and, of course, jobs too. Thank you, sir.
I thank the Acting Prime Minister for his contribution, and I now give the floor to the Chairperson of the Standing Committee on Social Affairs to speak in reply. You have the floor.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker Sir. Honourable Speaker Sir, I do not have any further comments. Thank you.
Thank you, honourable members. Parliament will now vote to note the content of the report. Does any member oppose the motion? As no member opposes, the motion is agreed to unanimously. Thank you. We will move on. Secretary General.
Motion by the Deputy Chairperson of the Standing Committee on Economic Affairs.
I now call upon the Deputy Chairperson of the Economic Affairs, the Honourable Vina Bagnaka, to move our motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I move that Parliament debates the